back-to-back appointments that morning, so I hadn't seen anything, hadn't been on the internet, hadn't heard anything. And so at lunchtime, I checked my phone, and a friend of mine that works with me had sent me a text and said, when are you getting married? That's all the text said. The great part was that I called Sandy, and she's, sitting at her desk, and I said, what are you doing? And she was like, working. And I said, well, we can get married now. And she said, what? And she hadn't heard it either. And I said, we can get married. And she said, it went through? And I said, it did. And she said, wow. And she kind of sat there for a second, and I said, I'm crying. And I said, are you crying? And she was like, oh, wait, I got to call you back. The dog just threw up. So I was like, okay.
That's what I was going to start with. Is you're originally from here?
I am originally from here.
Just said that.
Yeah, I'm originally from this area. And so for school, I came back to this area.
And I came along.
And he came along. I was talking to some friends of mine, and they were like, well, what does Keith think about that? And, so Keith and I actually talked about it, and he's like, well, you can't, like, in terms of, like, what's going to happen, 5, 10, 15 years down the road. And so when he said that, and as much as I could know, I think I knew.
That I was the one.
That you were the one.
Well, if you need to remember the anniversary of our wedding, you can just look it up on Wikipedia. I mean, like, when did the Supreme Court decision come out?
Right, exactly, because it was the day of. So yeah,
on June 26th,
2015, when the Supreme Court decision came out, the day of, and it was an adventure,
to say the least.
Like, I just saw, like, SCOTUS blog, and it came up, marriage, just one word. I was like, here it is, 5-4, and then it said, like, Kennedy, and I knew.
Civilly means if there's any decisions to be made health-wise or, financially, or, God forbid if one of us dies before the other, and then what happens, all of those things are answered. There's no questions about it anymore. Nobody can come and try to sue either me or her if one of us passes away to say, it was never legal.
I guess because of the way the rule worked, we were not the first to be married, because folks who had marriages from other states, suddenly they were valid.
They were recognized, yeah.
But we were the first couple in
to
Knox
receive
County.
a Knox County marriage license.
Yeah.
So we got married in San Francisco in 2014, and then as we were on the plane ride home, we kind of joked to each other, like, as we were flying back home, like, oh, like, we're probably not married now, like, as we would go through each state. And then when we landed, we were like, well, that was nice, well, we're not married now.
We had thought of exactly that process many times before, to just go to a state that's recognizing it's legal. But then we returned to our home state of Kentucky, and it means nothing. And why do it? We knew we were going to reside there. We knew that would be where our life would probably end. And you need it. You need it from that legality standpoint, but you also need it just to be honored.
I mean, we'd hoped. We were definitely operating under the assumption, or I think so. I think we were operating under the assumption that we would be able to.
Yeah.
When we wanted to. And so the original idea was that we'd wait like a year and then get married like in the fall sometime. And then thinking about it and seeing the various progressions that had been made and watching the ongoing coverage of the cases making their way to the courts and the various kind of preemptive things that various legislative bodies were doing, it seemed like there was a lot of potential for backlash and pushback.
And then it became apparent that
it was going to the
Supreme Court. We had an emergency wedding kit that we started putting together, and it had
the tuxedo T-shirts.
Yeah, we had tuxedo T-shirts.
And a friend bought us a cake.
and a friend bought us a cake, and we had all of our documents that we could possibly need, because if it was anything like going to the DMV, we knew that it would be some random piece of paper that, we didn't have that we would have needed.
And then I just started like tweeting and posting and blogging and like texting my wife.
Gatlinburg Wedding Center, this is Jacob. How may I help you? I could not have found myself in a more uplifting job. Every day I get to make people happy. It's been emotional at the beginning. It was really, really emotional. The first same-sex couple that I married, I didn't think I would get emotional, but when I said the Constitution of the United States, it was really emotional. Gatlinburg is known for weddings. It's second in the nation for destination weddings, only to Las Vegas. And now with the Supreme Court ruling, it's a whole new world. So we've had brides who have called us in tears because people have hung up on them, they've been rude to them, or they wouldn't answer any of their questions.
I'm the president of the Gatlinburg Wedding Association, and so we polled the chapels in Gatlinburg. And of course, they were friendlier to me because they knew who I was. Not that they gave friendlier answers, but they weren't rude to me. And 2 of the chapels, which are larger chapels, said they would do them, but their ministers wouldn't. You'd have to bring your own minister. And about 6 or 7 said they would not do them. And a couple others were deciding. And 1 or 2 besides the 3 that we operate said they would do them. So it's still in the majority not doing them.
I'm actually a little nervous today, so I'm not sure what that's about, but a little bit nervous, but really excited.
Yes, Karen and Sandy, wish you all the love and happiness in the world. We love you both, and congratulations.
Well, I just wish them all the happiness in the world. I know they have been happy for years. I've always felt like that Sandy is one of my daughters.
I never in a million years thought I would get married. I mean, I've been with Karen for 14 years, and we just didn't think this would ever happen, so maybe there is a little dream to it.
We don't even like saying same-sex couple. It's a couple getting married.
Love shared is the most wondrous of all experiences.
It's another wedding. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just going to normalize. It's the way it's going to be. It's the first step to total equality.
Ideally, a marriage is that place where 2 individual expressions join together and create a safe place for each other.
First, it's marriage. Then how could you possibly fire someone now from their job because they're gay? I mean, marriage is the first step to a huge revolution. I don't want to tolerate it. I want to embrace it, and that's what we're doing.
Even though the Supreme Court changed everything in one day, right? In one big swoop, everything changed legally. But that doesn't mean that everyone's minds have changed. And so, whereas the Supreme Court made everything easier legally, there's still a lot of work that we have to do with the hearts and minds of people in a society, because that didn't automatically change when the Supreme Court decision came down.
I was not this nervous at the commitment ceremony at all. It was just kind of, we were doing it and we did it and that was it. I said it several times yesterday, nobody can take this away from us. It's civilly, we're equal, and nobody can take it away. So, feels great.
I will love you in sickness and in health.
I'll be there in your joy and in your sorrow.
I will be there in your joy and in your sorrow.
To be able to thank every person that played a role in that part.
There really was just such a huge outpouring of support, and there was a rally
that night,
and all these people showed up, and and the plaintiffs from the Supreme Court case were there and got this huge standing ovation, and it was just a hugely, I mean, like victorious
Yeah, it was
kind
pretty.
of moment.
It was pretty epic.
It's a big deal.
They had asked me to speak. Actually, they asked both of us to speak.
All right.
And I just remember when I got up, I couldn't think of anything else to say, but I'd like to introduce you to my husband.
Everybody just erupts in cheers. It's like,
And it was incredible. Yeah.
just lots of support and lots of happiness.
It was really amazing how many people in our lives that reached out to us, family and friends, to just say, we hope you're taking this step because we want it for you. And so we felt so blessed with that.
What's wonderful is that my students who are in college today, and then students even younger than them, like, they'll never know a time when this wasn't the way things were. And so they'll never have to worry about how to protect their partner or their husband or spouse. They'll never have to worry about those burdens of not having that certificate. And so, like, that's really what I'm excited about, is that this will just be the way things are.
I just wish that that the rest of their life, I'm gonna cry again, that the rest of their life they live a happy married life, and that they continue to love each other and trust each other and continue to be there for one another every single day. And I'm glad that this day is finally here and that this day can happen.
So now by the power given me by the state of Tennessee and the Church of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, I now pronounce you a married couple. You may kiss.